Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. I already have my hair clips in. I'm ready to go. Today we're going to be trying out a dupe for an eyeshadow palette that I absolutely love. I've done these videos in the past and I will have some of those linked down below. But if you have not yet heard of the brand Alter Ego, they create some of the best eyeshadow dupes that I've ever tried personally. They just launched this palette right here called Artemis, and it is supposed to be a dupe for the Natasha Denona Metropolis Palette. So here is the one from Alter Ego. I will show you guys my Natasha Denona one right here. As you can see, it's well loved by me. I honestly got so much use out of this palette, especially during the fall last year. I think that's when this launched. And I've been really looking forward to reaching into these tones again for fall, since fall is approaching. But this is something a little bit different than what Alter Ego has done in the past because it has 28 shades in here. So I'm going to be trying this out using the Alter Ego on this side of my face or on my eye, and then the Natasha Denona on this eye. So you can kind of see them side by side. This one's a little bit bigger. The mirror is bigger and probably even nicer in the Alter Ego one actually, which is insane. It has a very, very nice weight to it. Here's the size difference if you were wondering. So yes, the Artemis palette is a little bit larger. This retails for $129, which is pretty standard for Natasha Denona. This one right here is $22 for 28 shades. So I am really excited to try this out to see if it is a good dupe. Like I said before, in the videos I've done in the past where I tried out these palettes from Alter Ego, I've been very impressed, so I am excited. We're gonna go ahead and also use the brushes from Alter Ego. These are the 8-piece eye brush collection. I haven't tried this yet, but I have two, so I'm going to use one for the colors in the Natasha Denona, one for the Alter Ego palette, and then they also sent me this eyeshadow base, which I haven't tried, but I figured maybe I should try it on both of the eyes today. So let's just get right into it. I'm going to do swatches at the end of the video. For me personally, I just feel like I can kind of get my final opinion faster by just going straight in and playing with the shadows on the eyes. So I'm just going to do the eyeshadow primer all over both eyes. This has a really nice thin formula, so it makes it easy to blend. I'm going to make sure to blend it from lash line all the way up to the brow and then on the outside of the eye right here. Okay, so I had to go through and write down all the corresponding shades on my phone just so that I get the right shades to compare. So we're going to go ahead and start. I'm going to open up these little eye brush sets. I'm going to start out with this fluffy brush to create the transition. This is the brush number 3 from that set. I'm just going to make sure the eye primer is dry. This one's a little tacky. This one's a little bit more dry. Maybe I'll go ahead and start with this eye just for now until the primers are the same amount of dry. Okay, so I'm going to take the shade Entice. Now this is the Alter Ego palette. This is always the shade, or at least the one in the Natasha Denona palette. This is the one that I always started my looks off with. So I'm just going to start to blend this into the crease as my transition shade. Ooh, these brushes feel nice. And I'm going to buff them out and up toward the brow. I'm just moving it back and forth until there's less product on the brush. I feel like that's what creates the best kind of diffused shadow, is when you really spend time just blending what's existing on the brush. I'm kind of taking some up to the front of the brow a little bit. I don't know what look I'm going to do, but like I said, this is where I always start. So I'm going to take the corresponding shade in the Natasha Denona palette, which is this one right here. This one is called Rope. Get some of that on the clean brush, but again, it's the same number 3 brush from the Alter Ego brush set, and I'm just going to start buffing this into the crease. Doing the same thing where I'm just working in circular motions, just buffing up into the brow, blending it out toward the end of the brow. Something I'm noticing already is actually with the Natasha Denona palette, I dipped in twice already to get the same pigment payoff as the Alter Ego one. I'm just kind of like saying what I think out loud as I go, just to help give an accurate comparison between the two. I'm going to go back in with a little bit of the corresponding shade in the Alter Ego palette and just kind of buff it out a little bit more on the outside. Same thing over here. Something I should probably mention, this is not sponsored by Alter Ego. Every video that I've done with them so far has not been sponsored. I just really enjoy comparing the palettes. However, I do have a coupon code with Alter Ego. If you guys want to use it, I will have it linked down below. It's just the code Allie. You can get an additional 10% off and their prices are already really good. So this is not sponsored, but I do get a small commission off of that coupon code. So just a heads up if you want to use it. But again, this is not sponsored. All of my opinions are always 1000% honest. so yeah, let's continue. I'm trying to figure out what kind of a look I want exactly. You know what? I kind of want to play with this green right here. So this is called Lethal in the Natasha Denona palette. I'm going to take that on the Alter Ego #1 brush. Now, this is actually what I'm most interested in because this formula is actually the Natasha Denona cream to powder formula. It's a very unique kind of an eyeshadow formula in general. So I'm really interested to see how that compares in the Alter Ego palette and if they were able to dupe that formula because, like I said, it's a super unique, really, really creamy kind of a feeling eyeshadow. So I'm just actually running this all the way through the crease. I don't know, I figured I would probably just play with some of the colors because I think that'll really help me figure out how the eyeshadow formulas actually compare. All right, let's go ahead and try that out. In the Artemis palette, now the corresponding shade in this is this one right here called Silent. And just by looking at it, it looks like it kind of has that cream to powder type formula. Again, I'm taking the same brush, but a different set, of course. And I'm just gonna start working that in the crease as well. Okay, so this one looks a little bit lighter once I apply it. At least initially, I am going back and forth and just blending more and more of that color into the crease. And then I'm kind of blending it out toward the end of the brow as well. Okay, I'm noticing a very slight difference between the two. This one seems to be a little bit brighter and a little bit more of a sheen than this one, but still, you obviously get a very similar effect. And usually when I play with colors like this in the Alter Ego palettes, it all comes together and looks so similar in the end. So we'll see if that happens with this one. Okay, next I'm going to take another cream to powder formula shade. I'm going to use this one right here. This is a beautiful emerald green called Royal. And if I remember right, when I blend this out, it has a little bit of like a blue. I could be thinking wrong, but it's been a while since I've used this palette. The last time I used it was in the fall because that's kind of when I'm inspired most by these colors. I'm just going to take this on the Alter Ego #5 brush and I'm going to start pressing this on the outer third of the upper lid, focusing it on the outermost portion with the pigment and up against the lash line. And then once there's less product on the brush, I'm just going to start blending that lightly into the crease. Yeah, it kind of gives off like a little bit of a teal undertone. Obviously it's very green still, but there's a little bit of like a teal to it, which I really like. Okay, we're gonna leave it at that for now. We're gonna dip into the corresponding shade in the Alter Ego palette, which is called Stealth. I'm interested to see how this works. So again, same thing, I'm just gonna start building this on the outer edge of the lid. So immediately I'm noticing that the Natasha Denona one for this formula is a little bit more creamy and a little bit more pigmented, but with that being said, I'm still able to build it up and the color once built up is pretty spot on. Going back into what's left on the brush on this eye, I just want to make sure that they're blended the same on both eyes. I'm just going all out with the color today and we might as well, you know, because that's kind of the formulas that I want to compare the most. I bet the neutrals are probably fine and we can swatch those later. I'm really wanting to dip into this beautiful turquoise shade. It's more of a teal. This is called Jubilee in the Natasha Denona palette. I'm going to go ahead and take that on my ring finger and I'm going to apply it to the left eye right in the center, blending it over top of that dark green we have on the outer corner. This is such a pretty color. We're going to try out the corresponding shade in the Alter Ego palette called Pursuit. And I'm going to take my ring finger on my right hand and I'm going to apply that right in the center as well. Okay, wow. Yeah. If I'm really being picky, even though you can't tell on camera and you wouldn't be able to tell anyway, there's a little bit more glitter reflex in the Natasha Denona one. This one doesn't have as many, but the sheen and the color is like identical. That's so pretty. Okay, next, we're gonna dip into one of my favorite shades in the palette. It's this one right here. This is called Orium. And I'm gonna take this on a #6 brush from the Alter Ego brush set. I'll load this up on my brush and I'm gonna start to press this in this inner third, I guess. Focusing it in the inner corner, kind of creating a soft cut crease and then blending what's left right into that teal shade, just for a little bit of dimension. I'm obsessed with that shade. Okay, we're gonna see how the comparing shade looks. And that is this one right here, I believe. Yeah, that's called, let me just double check. I did all of my comparisons earlier. So the comparing shade is called Scent. I'm gonna pick it up on the same brush from the clean set. And I'm gonna start layering that in the inner corner of my right eye. Same thing, blending it into the existing teal shimmer shade on the lid. Oh my. I mean, that looks pretty similar to me. Always shocks me. I'm gonna go ahead and take that fluffy brush we used at the very beginning on this eye just to blend, and then I'm gonna switch to the fluffy brush from the other set that we used with this formula and do the same thing. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and highlight the inner corner. I'm gonna take the lightest shade in both palettes. This is called Obscure from the Alter Ego palette. I'm gonna use this on a number 8 brush from the same Alter Ego set. I'm just gonna press that in the inner corner to brighten. And I'm taking what's left on the brush and just applying that right underneath the highest point of the brow and blending it out. Okay, we're switching over to the Natasha Denona palette. This is the shade Queen right here. I'm just gonna go ahead and apply that to the inner corner of the eye as well, and also underneath this brow. Well, I really like how the eyes turned out so far. I'm gonna go ahead and apply some mascara. I just bought this mascara and I wore it once and so far so good. It's from Pat McGrath. It's the new Dark Star mascara. So I'm just gonna go ahead and apply this on the top lashes only. And then off camera, I'm gonna do my complexion. Then we're gonna go ahead and finish up the eyes. I'm gonna try to use as many colors as possible. So maybe we'll do some of those dark blues on the lower lash line. We'll have to see. So yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and apply this to the top lashes, and then I will be right back to complete the eye look. Okay, so my mascara is on and I did some of my complexion. I will finish up the complexion in a little bit, and I will have all of the products that I'm wearing in the description box down below in case you want to know. Let's move back into the eyeshadow. Okay, I'm gonna take the number 7 brush, and I actually want to dip into this dark blue shade right here. This is called Symbol in the Natasha Denona palette. And I basically am just starting on the outer corner, and I'm wanting to buff this on the outer third of the lower lash line, and I'm connecting it to the existing shadows on this outer edge here. I think that looks so pretty. Okay, let's try out the corresponding shade, which I think is this one right here called Ambush. Okay, I had to swatch them to make sure because there's 2 dark blue-green shades in here that are both that cream to powder formula that look very similar in the pan. So I just wanted to make sure, but it seems like I have it right so far. Okay, same thing. I'm just blending this out along the lower lash line, connecting it to the existing shadows on the outer corner. I'm gonna add a little bit more of that color on this lower lash line just to match the intensity. Okay, I think this is gonna be a really pretty color for the lower lash line. Let's try it out. I'm gonna go ahead and go into this right here. This is called Quest in the Alter Ego palette. It's a shimmery olive green. I'm gonna tap off the excess, and I'm going to apply this in the center of the lower lash line, blending it over top of that blue shade we just applied, really close to the lash line. And I'm using the brush number 6 for this, which we already used, but I wiped it off on a tissue. I'm gonna do the same thing to the brush for the other palette, and this corresponding shade is this one right here. Such a pretty color. I really love this one. This is called Shield in this palette. So same thing, I'm just brushing this along the lash line. I'm taking a powder brush and just sweeping away any fallout. I'm gonna go ahead and use that same light shade that we used in the inner corner. This is from the Alter Ego palette. Again, this is called Obscure. I'm gonna tap off the extra, and I'm just gonna kind of connect the inner corner to the lower lash line. So again, I'm dipping into the shade Queen in the Natasha Denona palette. I think that's so pretty. Okay, I really wanna take a little bit of this cobalt blue shimmer. This is called Aqueous. I'm gonna dust off that same number 8 brush. This is the Natasha Denona palette. I'm gonna take that, and I just wanna kind of press this right up against the lash line on that outer third, just for a little more dimension. The corresponding shade in the Artemis palette is right here. It's called Victory. And I'm gonna do the same exact thing right up against the lash line on the outer third. So I tried to highlight the inner waterline with my Wet n Wild pencil, and there was some blue eyeshadow that was kind of stuck to the waterline, so it kind of turned it like a periwinkle color, but I'm not mad at it. I kind of like it actually. I'm really happy with how the eye looks, or I should say how the eyes look. Since there are 2 different formulas, I'm going to go ahead and take that same Pat McGrath mascara, and I'm going to apply that on the lower lash line. I actually changed my mind. I want to take some of that transition shade we used, which I think it was this one right here. Yeah, it's called Entice. I'm going to take that on the fluffy brush we started with. I'm going to tap off the extra. I'm going to pinch it, and I kind of want some of that same tone on the outermost portion of the lower lash line. I think it needs to be combined a little bit better. Same thing with the Natasha Denona palette using the shade Rope. Okay, let's go ahead and finish up the face really quick. I'm going to take my Pure Cosmetics bronzer. Again, I'll have all these linked down below. I already did a cream bronzer. I used the Fenty one today, but I'm wanting a little bit more warmth to the skin. So I'm just going to add this along the perimeters of the face, basically setting where I applied the cream bronzer. I'm going to take this blush. This is from Patrick Ta. It's in the shade She's So LA. This is the powder and cream duo blush. I'm going to take the bottom of my sponge and dip into the cream portion of that. And then I'm going to apply that over top. I'm going to wipe off any foundation that got on the lips. And we're going to use the NYX Suede Lip Liner in the shade London. I'm just lining and filling in the lips with that. I'm going to go in with my KKW Beauty lipstick in the shade Nude 2. I'm just applying that and then using my finger to blend it in. I changed my mind on that lip color. I felt like it was too yellow. So I'm refilling in the lips with that NYX lip liner. And I'm just going to apply this gloss from ColourPop. It's the So Juicy Plumping Lip Gloss in the shade She's Here. I'm just going to set the face with a little bit more powder in the T-zone. And I actually like how the cheeks look without any highlighter, so I think I'm just going to leave it as is. I'm going to touch up the brows. Oh, you guys, guess what I bought? This right here, the new Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Setting Spray. It's obviously going to take me more than one try to see if I like this. Let's give it a little whirl. It smells like you would imagine a Charlotte Tilbury setting spray to smell. I will keep using this and I'll keep you guys posted on how it ends up working for me. Okay, I'm just putting brow gel in and then we will talk about my opinions on the eyeshadow. Okay, so here's the final look. Before we get into my thoughts about the Artemis palette from Alter Ego, as promised, I will insert a swatch little clip right here so you guys can see. I will do the Natasha Denona palette on the top row and then the Artemis palette on the bottom so you can get a good idea of how they compare with their corresponding colors swatched. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I am impressed again with the dupe palette from Alter Ego. There's just the slightest differences if you want to be extremely picky about it. There's a little bit more glitter reflex in the Natasha Denona one and some of those shimmer shades, but you get the exact same effect from the Alter Ego palette. The price difference is insane. So if you're somebody who doesn't really collect high-end palettes, but you really loved the vibe and the color scheme of the Metropolis palette from Natasha Denona, I think that you should definitely pick this up. It's not identical, but it's a solid dupe. As you can see on my eyes, there are just very, very slight differences, but again, no one's gonna notice and you're gonna be able to create the same types of looks with the Artemis palette that you would be able to with the Metropolis palette. So yeah, honestly, I don't have any complaints about it, and I feel like I used the most difficult shades in the palette so that I could really see how they would perform. So I'm excited to use some of the more neutral tones. That's one of the things that really drew me into the color scheme of the Metropolis palette in the beginning. There's just so many options. You can do a lot of neutral looks with this. You can also go with a green and blue type of situation. There's even a red in here, which is really nice. So you could go with an orangey red kind of sunset look. You could do something super olive green and muted, something taupey and smoky. You just have endless options with these. I've got to say, I actually like the mirror in this palette better than the mirror in the Metropolis palette. It's much bigger and it's a really, really good quality mirror. So I'm super excited about it. Also, the packaging is really nice. The thing is, you guys know I love Natasha Denona. I'm somebody who likes to invest in high-end palettes like this. I love the gold palette. I have basically every single palette from her and I absolutely love Natasha Denona products. However, on the other side, I understand that there are people who don't necessarily want to invest in makeup and maybe you would rather have more eyeshadow palettes to play with versus one really high-end palette. So in that case, the Artemis palette would definitely be something to look into. Honestly, for me, because I own the Natasha Denona palettes and all of the Alter Ego dupes, I actually love using these dupe palettes when I travel, especially because the Natasha Denona formula is usually really soft and fragile. So it just makes me feel better to be able to travel with the same exact palette basically, but it's going to be at a less price point. So I'm not as worried if something does happen to it, if that makes sense. So that's actually how I've been really enjoying to use these. Just so you know, I do get use out of both the high-end and the more affordable dupes. So yeah, it's a thumbs up from me, honestly. And the other thing is too, this is a limited edition palette from Natasha Denona. I think as of now it is available on Sephora, so I will have it linked down below if you're interested in the higher end version. But once this goes away forever, it'll be nice that you can still get the same look with the Artemis palette. So that's another plus for me. I'm gonna go ahead and invite my husband down here. That's what I've done in the past dupe videos that I've made with these palettes. I always love to see what he thinks about the comparison on each eye. So let me call him.
Hello?
And do you know what time it is? And you come downstairs and guess which side of my eye is which.
Oh, I love this part.
This is the best part.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, bye. While I wait for him, I should also say that the Alter Ego brush set was great. I felt like I was able to create a really, really nice look on both eyes using this set. So I will have that linked down below too. Hi.
Oh no. How do I tell?
Okay.
Close them. I have to look. They look the same.
They're very similar, huh?
I would say this side is Natasha and this is Alter Ego.
Are you dead serious?
Yeah. Wait,
That's like your honest guess?
Well, I just thought...
No, this one's Alter Ego. This is Natasha.
Close it.
Okay.
So the glitter in Natasha is definitely more glittery.
Yeah.
But I would have thought that was Alter Ego because it's kind of like falling down.
Falling down?
I just kind of guessed too because they look the same. Wow.
Yeah, good, huh?
That's crazy.
I know, and I played with like the difficult colors, I think, and it turned out pretty good if you ask me.
Wow, that's fun.
Well, there you have it. I even fooled my husband this time. So yeah, I will have everything linked down below if you guys are interested. And again, you can use the code Allie on Alter Ego's website if you want to save 10% on your order. That's it for me today. I would say it's another successful dupe video. If you guys are interested to see more videos like this, I will have those linked down below as well. If you're new here, hi, my name is Allie and I would love for you to join the family. You can do so by hitting the subscribe button. And if you're already a subscriber but you want to be notified on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, click on the bell after you subscribe and you'll get a notification every single time I post. Yeah, that was a really fun video. I always love doing these types of videos. As always, leave a comment down below letting me know what other videos you would like to see from me in the future. I hope you all have an amazing day wherever you are, and I will see you in my next video. Love you. Bye.